Good evening, people. Welcome to the Keep It Real Conversation Show with your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. It is Thursday, November 30th, 2023. We are in the land of the living. Please let somebody know that we are live on Facebook. We are live on the YouTube channel, which is the name of the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are live on Twitch and Twitter. Let somebody know that we are live today. Again, as I state, I have some of the dopest people, dopest guests on this side of heaven on this show. Regardless if you're the regular 9 to 5 person, if you're young, you're old, it does not matter. We have something to talk about. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny, proven over and over again since I started this show in 2020. Tonight is no different than any other time. Tonight I have someone I actually went to high school with, who's originally from the D, not Dallas, but Detroit, Michigan. He's not here right now, but however, we still claim him.
That's right.
So stand up, Osborne Knights in the building. Mr. Will Hatcher is an entrepreneur and coach living in Orlando, Florida. Born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Will has started and transportation companies and advocates for issues such as mental and physical health in the Black community. He has overcome addiction and homelessness to become a true story of overcoming adversity and reinventing yourself. So again, tonight, I want you guys to welcome Will Hatcher to the show.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me on the show today, Sunshine. I appreciate it.
No problem. I can hear you.
All right.
I'm so excited. Just to let people know how I came across your page. I was on Facebook, I believe, and you were posting about your drinks, your juicy. And I remember seeing a video of you making your juicy. And I was like, who is this? And so I reached out to you a couple of months ago. And we wasn't able to do it then. But I was like, nah, I need to turn that thing back around and find out what's going on with him. And we were able to connect. Small world. I work with your cousin. Who would ever thought? And matter of fact, I ran into him today to let him know, hey, I got your brother, I got your cousin on tonight. I need you to tap in. So again, kudos to you for not just being the average man, not only the Black man, successful Black man. I had to give you your flowers now. If don't nobody else say thank you, job well done, you'll get it here. It's very important not only to, as trailblazers, we don't like being the one have to go through all the drama, trauma, and everything else that goes with. It wasn't for us. It was for somebody else. So to be able to have this conversation that we're going to have, it's not only we see what happened, what before it happened and what happened afterwards, but also to cheer you on to continue to do what you do. So let's get to the beginning of Mr. Hatcher. So let's take us back to Detroit, Michigan. When did you
All right.
know?
1 second.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When did you know that you were special?
Well, that for that was something that um I think I kind of knew it. Like my whole life growing up, I felt like I didn't fit in,
Mhm.
and I think that kind of it's one of those things where you don't really know what it is, and then one day I guess it's like a pilot light that lights under a stove, and once that light lights up, then you kind of all of the pieces are put together. So I didn't know really, to be honest. I was just a kid that liked to learn. You know what I mean, growing up. But I grew up in the '80s, and I felt like during that time, things were changing in our community. Drugs were coming in. People wanted to sell drugs. I came from a solid family, but all my friends were in the street stuff. And I come from an era where you used to get teased for wanting to be smart and for liking books and wanting to get good grades and stuff like that. So, I tried to fit in any way possible. And so in that, it took a turn. But, honestly, maybe around 40, I actually realized, like, you know what? Um, I am different. And I think, if I lock in and try to, start to believe in myself, there's no limit to what I can accomplish. But I'm going to be honest, I had no idea that the road, the journey it was going to take me on. If you'd have told me 10 years ago I'd be living in Orlando, you know what I mean, living my dreams, I would have probably laughed at you.
Mhm.
I just wanted to get off the streets. You know what I mean? I just wanted to get my life together. 10 years ago, I was in an entirely different place. 10 years ago, I was living in my sister's basement, sleeping on a cot. And I just wanted a different life. I knew that, it was wasted. I felt like I was a wasted talent. I watched my parents die, and I still was in addiction and things like that. So I just wanted to change. Something had to happen one way or another.
Okay,
And,
so let's go back to, you just mentioned that your parents passed away.
right.
Were you the only child?
So I was the youngest. My sister was 13 years older than me.
Okay.
So growing up, and she had her issues, and there was sibling rivalry. So, when your sister's 13 years older than you don't really do the same things. She was a teenager and whatnot. So I was kind of raised as an only child. My sister was almost grown by the time I came of age.
So being in Detroit, and you already mentioned that those eras of, trying to fit in and being teased because you like books and wanting to learn and things of that nature. What took a turn for you, um, to the point where drugs came in?
Well, growing up, I think, especially as you hit puberty. So, you got to I have to kind of look at, so I'm okay, say I'm 13, right? I'm a lot shorter than I am now. I'm 6'3". I'm 225 solid right now, right? Back then, I was 5'7". I was 200 pounds, a little chubby kid. I had the little boobs. I had glasses. I had braces. So you can imagine the type of self-esteem issues that I had at that time.
Mhm.
And one of my friends, back in the day, my sister used to smoke weed, but that was in a time where you could smell the weed from the basement when they had the parties and stuff.
Mhm.
And so the first time I tried that, it just, to me, it turned me into a different person. I became cool and I fit in. And I just didn't know what it was gonna take me on. For me, it took me on a hell of a ride.
So explain to the people, for a person who didn't really indulge in it, like say for instance, even though we were brainiacs in my house, my parents did things that I just said to myself, that's I don't like smoke. I still don't to this day. Like, I don't like
Right.
it. My parents were chain smokers. There were, different other things that I was just like, yeah, I don't want that. Even as an adult, I don't want that. I remember my mom telling us that um, our family had like an addiction, um, or addicting. She said for me, addicting personality. You don't
Yeah.
need you don't need this. Um, and she put fear into me of, if you start this, it's going to be hard for you to break. Meaning
Mm.
smoking, whether it was or any other type of drug. So I was so tunnel vision on books and stuff that I was ignorant to. Oh, that's a crack house. Oh, how you go get this? I still ask to this day. Like I have no clue, no idea. So for a person who um, did weed, as they would say, was that the doorway to other drugs, or you was
Oh,
just weed?
no, it absolutely was the doorway. So your mom is 100% right. And she was probably ahead of her time with that type of knowledge. Now we know that families have addictive traits, and
Mm-hmm.
it's almost genetic, and certain families, and now looking back, I know it ran in my family, but my family, they didn't have knowledge of that. My mom didn't drink or smoke. My dad would go out and he would drink, but he
Mm-hmm.
drank outside of the home for the most part. So the only things I saw was type of cool set. I knew nothing about having an addictive personality. But if I look back, if you look back to your childhood, a lot of times you can tell if you're chasing things and different, like you can't stop eating candy and things like that. And for many people, they can go and try drugs. They can go and smoke weed, go to work, be productive citizens. Some people can do coke. I mean, I know people who are on heroin and they have really, really nice jobs, and you would never know that they were on heroin, you know. But for a certain percentage of us, we just go and it just takes a hold of you and it turns you into a different person. And one of the biggest things that I had to come a grip with as I began to work on my recovery was the damage that I did to other people. And some of
Mm.
that damage, sunshine, there's no happy ending to it. I'm gonna share some things about that. There's all I didn't. Even though I attempted to make amends, everybody wasn't happy with my apology because of some of the things that I did in my addiction. I'm gonna just I told myself when I came and when I did your show that I was gonna be 100% honest. And a lot of times I get flack for laying my life open like I do. As you know, because you and I are on social media together interacting, and you see I don't hide anything. I did a lot of damage. I'm still working on a relationship with my daughter. You know, my sister and I are estranged. There are family members that I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna meet and talk to my sisters at this point. She's 65. I don't know if I'm gonna, make that. I've tried, but sometimes people only can remember what you used to be and they can't accept the change and the evolution.
Right.
Some of us grow and evolve and some of us don't. I can't undo any of the things that I did, and it was some pretty bad things that I did, but that's why I try to do the good that I do now.
So during the okay, so let's go into um ooh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Um what were some of the things, if you don't mind sharing, what were some of the things that you was involved in? Like, say, for instance, weed, coke, heroin, um, I don't know. What were some
Okay.
of the things?
So at the time that so on March the 4th, 2014, I went into treatment for the final time. I told myself I'm gonna get this one last time. Listen, I had I had it all figured out in my head. This slick plan, right? I'm gonna do 2 weeks. I'm gonna get off all of the hard drugs. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna check myself out, and I'm gonna go back to work. And I'm just gonna maybe smoke a little weed. I had no idea 10 years later that I'd still be clean. But at the time that I checked in, I was addicted to. I was smoking marijuana pretty much every day for almost what 25 years straight. Maybe missed 30 days out of the 25 years. I was on cocaine. I used to lace my blunts with cocaine. I was doing Xanax. What is the other one? I was doing ecstasy, and I was drinking probably 2 or 3 pints a day of. I used to like the Amsterdam, and how, and I would literally. There were mornings I would wake up and my kidneys would be like throbbing, and that was to me was the beginning of the end
Okay.
because I knew I wasn't gonna live out. I wasn't gonna make it out of 2014 because there's only so much your body can take. I was probably had a $200 a day habit.
A day?
Oh, for sure. That's why that and to be honest, that's part of the reason I'm probably have been successful in some of the business things that I've done because it's just that hustle mentality. Can you imagine? You waking up broke and knowing that you got to figure it out, or it's gonna be a long day for you. You
Wait,
know that.
$200 a day?
Oh, facts. Yeah, $200 a day, easy. I mean, when
Okay,
you
so
add up
let me ask
everything,
this. I gotta get cups.
get comfortable.
Of
All right,
course, I'm ignorant to all these things, right? You
right,
see somebody, you know something's going on, and it's that moment like, man, I don't know what in the world is going on, but I can't do this, right? I just can't. And they be like, well, you ain't in that person's shoe. You don't know what they're going through to even get
right,
into the addiction part of. I know people who are definitely sociable alcoholics, who can function, so they think,
right,
um, can go to work all day, drink at work, whatever, and soon as you say something, they on 10. But to them, they're normal.
right,
And then it's the hiding. So
right,
you get the Coke bottle and your whatever drink, whatever that is, you're drinking it all day. For someone who loves you and they see you like this, it is a hard pill to swallow.
yep,
Somebody is forcing you into their world, regardless if you like it or not.
right.
So for you, Will, to be the person that was addicted to all of these things, what was going through your head other than trying to be high or drown out your pain or sorrow? What were you thinking every day to say, hey, regardless of sun up, sun down, I'm going to do this?
Right. So you got to see. So when people, so the issue I think is that us as a community, we look at addiction as a moral thing. You're doing wrong. You're doing this and you're doing wrong. When in reality, it is a disease. And it's
Okay.
a disease that convinces you that you're not sick.
Okay.
So because you can only feed the disease if you keep feeding it. So if you realize you're sick, you're going to try to do what? You're going to try to cure it. You're going to try to at least treat the disease, right? So, when can you imagine having something where you have to do it even when you don't want to do it? Name something else that grips you where you have to do it even when you, a lot of those times I didn't want to do it. I wanted to go and maybe go hang out with y'all. Y'all had a nice party going on downtown, and I would like to go and do that. And then something in my head says, "Hey, why don't you go stop over there and grab you an eye opener before you go in there, so you don't be tired." And the next thing a day later, you're sitting in your car like, "What happened?" You know, and
Wait,
it
you was
literally.
missing days?
Oh, any person who's in active addiction or anything that's gonna be hard, yeah, I would go missing for days. I would go missing for days. I mean, it got to the point where in 2010, I literally packed my stuff and I left the mother of my kids because I just didn't want to keep subjecting them to my addiction, and I knew I wasn't gonna stop. I just was really, that was one of the first times in years that I had become honest with myself. And I knew, I'm like, I'm not about to stop. And I'm taking them through this. So I took my stuff and I left. And I lived in hotels, basically, shelters, hotels, bounced around for probably another, I didn't know it was going to take me another 3 or 4 years to hit my bottom. I figured, okay, I'll go out and eventually I'll get my life together being on my own and I'll come on back. But it didn't work out that way because, this is a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And it'll trick you. It'll trick you. A lot of addicts that you see that's done some hurtful things, they probably meant well. And what the codependency comes in is because deep down, the loved ones know you at your core, who you are spiritually at your core, and they know deep down you're a good person, and they just can't reconcile that with the stuff that you're doing. But part of recovery is taking all of that away and getting back to the core of who you are. But picture being in an addiction for 30 years. You don't know who the hell you are. You have no clue. You have to start reintroducing you to yourself, and you have to figure out. I had to basically, I was so disconnected from who I really was that I had to build it from scratch, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And this is what I came up with. I said I did a lot of damage. I had spent years alone. And I said, you know what? I might as well start to get my life together. And that's when I began. I went into treatment. I was only going to do 2 weeks. I ended up doing 6 months. I got out, and I was a cook at the time, so I was gonna go get another nice job. But thing about that is all the cooks, they go out back and they drink and smoke after the rush and in between and stuff like that. And I didn't want. Well, by the time I got out, I just really didn't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I knew that God had gave me a chance. Listen, I watched my mother die, and well, I didn't watch her die. My mother had a heart attack and was in ICU, and we made the decision to disconnect her from life support. And my addiction didn't care about that. So after she was disconnected, I went out to go drink and get high because I couldn't deal with the pain. I couldn't live with life on life terms. And when I got back, sunshine, she was gone. She was cold. And that's something that this is what I'm talking about. We do damage in our addiction that can't be made whole. So that's always there. And I've cried 100 times about that. And sometimes we get to heights in our new lives, right? And then that voice in the back say you don't deserve it because of all the dirty stuff you did in your past. How do you reconcile with that? You know, this is taking years of therapy, to
So
get through.
what do you what do you say to a person who you express your feelings of, hey, I don't like you when you do this. Hey, I don't like it when you're like this. And they say, well, I like it when I do. Or, um, you the one got the problem, not me.
Hmm. Um, so in those instances, like what I would tell a person, it's tough because I'm unconventional on what I think. I think that a person who's dealing with addiction, there's pretty much nothing you're gonna be able to do to stop them externally. It's an internal thing. You have to, you know what I mean? It's something that you have to come to get to a point where the pain of getting high is so great that you will do anything to not feel that. And until that person reaches that point, you can have your interventions where you surprise them in the room and everybody's surrounding and you better go get help. You can threaten them, you can put them out, you can be kind to them. None of that's going to work until that person is ready to turn their life around. So you can take that and frame it into all of those scenarios. So a person that really, the best advice that I can give to a person that's dealing with a loved one that's dealing with addiction is to make sure that you're protecting yourself emotionally, and that while you're offering support, you're not enabling them and causing them to get worse. And that might mean making some tough choices, you
Mhm.
know. What if somebody had put me out a couple years earlier, and I had to really go through some stuff? What if I had caught a DUI and had to do some time? Maybe I wouldn't have went through my addiction, any longer, but I know my path was my path to go. It was already destined by God that, it really, but what it did is help me get an appreciation for life,
Mm.
you know. I've been in boardrooms with CEOs and mayors, and I've slept on cots in homeless shelters. Who can say they've had a life like that?
Right.
You know,
Well,
I've seen
again,
both
this
ends of the
is
spectrum.
yeah, this is definitely the redemption story. I know it's possible. It's
Yeah,
just the journey of it becomes how much, not even the question of how much do you love this person, but it's hard to witness.
yeah,
Is is very hard to witness, especially when there's already health issues, um,
yeah,
and it's like you don't want to take on the thing of, they use this drug or they love this drug so much more than me. Why am I here?
right. Well, they love the drug more than they love themselves. Because who would do such things to themselves and to others? You know what I mean? And to their loved ones. Who would steal all of the money from their mother's purse? You know, who wouldn't want to be by their mother's side? I was a mama's boy. When no one else defended me, my mother defended me. And in her time of need, I couldn't be there for her. I don't think anybody that knows me knows in my right mind that I would even be like that. Because I protect women, especially my mother now. But drugs turns a person into somebody, different. And it's the obsession of it. You obsess about it when you don't have it. You feel it's the compulsion where you feel like you got to get it. Once you get it, you can't stop, and that person has to deal with it every single day. And what what's crazy about addiction is that the it's really not a cure, it's a treatment, because if you're not constantly working on dealing with those character flaws that you have, you're gonna look for something somewhere else. When I hurt now, when I've suffered loss or hurt or anger or pain, I can't even go get me a cup of wine. You know what I mean? Like if say you had a hard day, you can go get you a glass of wine, sit back and relax a little bit. No, I gotta feel all of it. But it makes me a stronger person. So, personality change. Sometimes people got to dig deep. They got to get uncover those traumas that they went through, especially women. It's really, really hard when you see a woman that overcomes addiction. That's tougher to do than a man, because you're going to think about some of the things that available to her to do to feed her addiction that I can't do. So, they're dealing with really abusive relationships and shame from some of the things that maybe they did to fuel addiction. So it's really, really hard for women to recover from that. So, yeah.
So, in your addiction moments of your span, did you have visits to jail?
I did. I didn't go to prison. I did a couple stints in the county, about 30 days. Treatment centers, I lost count at about 8. Uh, Probably 4 homeless shelters. Crazy. Yeah. I was able to stay out of I was able to keep from getting
Um,
caught, which is crazy because I used to get high a lot in my car. And when you think about that, people are driving around with their kids, and Will's driving around with a bottle in his lap, and he's coked up, and he's driving for hours. And there's a lot of people out there right now that's driving like that. Addiction, they say maybe 5% of people actually overcome it. When I went to treatment, it was 125 of us in the head count, and I'm the only one left. So tell
say
me,
what?
yeah, it was 100, and that's no exaggeration. There's 125. They're either back out in their addiction. A lot of them are dead. Out of 125, I'm the only one that's still kicking. So I felt like that, to me, that I am that was an anointing from God, from the Creator, and that I don't have any choice but to start believing in myself and start living the life that I was destined to live. And I'm gonna do that. And even and it's not even just an addiction story, it's a life lesson. Sometimes we dumb ourselves down. Like, you were a smart kid growing up, but what you never did was you never dumbed yourself down. At least for the most part, you didn't in your life. You made sure that you didn't, you know what I mean? And when I grow up, a lot of times we allow people to limit our dreams and limit what we believe we're capable of. And we don't want to fly because we don't want to leave them behind. But sometimes our family members and our loved ones be the very ones that's keeping us and holding us back. I was fortunate that when I finally went to treatment, everybody was gone. My mom was dead. My dad was dead. My sister wasn't really dealing with me, and it was just me. So, can you imagine having to go back to coming out of treatment, and you're going to a house where everybody's drinking and smoking? How you supposed to how you supposed to stay clean in that environment, and that might be the only place that you have to stay.
Yeah.
So it's really the road is, and then, like, again, if you're a woman, that's compounded. You might have to go back to that guy that was abusive because you don't have anywhere else to stay, because a lot of there's no funding for treatment centers. uh, They've shifted their attention to the opioid crisis and stuff like that. And we got our babies right now is drinking lean and popping these Percocets and these other opioids. And opioids are a form. Heroin is also an opioid. So there's a new generation of addicts that we're going to have to contend with in our community, and I don't see anything set up to deal with it. I don't see anything set up to deal with it. Yep, while these kids getting a little money, they can do all of that, but what happens when that money run out? They're still going to be having that itch for that lean and whatever. And the cheapest thing you can get is a blow. Watch what I tell you. And we are not prepared because we're busy pointing and laughing at the white community and the other communities because they're dealing with their own crisis, meth and opioid crisis. And our boys and girls, our kids, they on some heavy stuff.
Mhm. um, so we know that you had some, some tragedies happen in your life,
Hmm.
and there was different types of um, things that were masking your pain, or um, just as you said, the addiction is a disease. From one thing to another, when did you find this entrepreneur spirit? Was it after you got out of this last treatment, or did you always have it?
Well, I always had it. I used to sell dinners. Remember when the recession hit back in 2008, 2009, it got kind of tough. I was selling dinners then. I had a garden in my backyard, so I actually was growing corn. So I was growing vegetables. I would sell bottles of water. So I always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. What happened with this last turn that really kind of helped me get to where I am now is fast forward. I'm maybe clean 5 years. Um, During my addiction, one of the jobs I took was working at this juice bar. And this is like 2009 or something. And this lady was raw vegan. And I had never heard of anybody who just ate raw food, right? But she was in her 60s and she looked great. And she was willing to give me a chance, even though she could, at that point, I probably clearly looked bad, right? So she gave me a job. And there is where I learned about plant-based nutrition and juicing and things like that. So fast forward a few years later, I'm clean. And so occasionally I bought me a juicer and I'm juicing. So I would take these juices to work in these jars. And I really wasn't thinking about a business plan with it. I was just drinking the juice at my job and people were asking me questions because I'm making these beet juices. And I had a talent for being able to blend vegetable juices that you normally may not drink on their own with
Hmm.
fruit and making them taste good. So my beet juice tastes like fruit punch. And so people tried it and they liked it and they asked me if I could make more. And so I did it for a while. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she's ambitious too. And she was like, "Well, you think you might be onto something." So I didn't want to do it like a traditional juice bar. Because to me, juice bars seem like a waste of money because basically you're going in, you're buying one juice, you're gonna sit down, you're gonna suck up the Wi-Fi, hang out, use up the lights, and I felt like in my community, people like carry out, they like to go. So let's take away the juice bar. Let's do the juices to order in a commercial kitchen, and let's use social media to leverage our promotion and use the audience that we already have, you know what I mean, to promote the products, which at the time was kind of a new thing. Was this 2018? You could get Facebook ads for like $2. So we would place ads, and we started the business page, and we would place ads, and then we just had unconventional ways of doing stuff because we felt like a lot of the health community at the time was a little bit elitist, they didn't really want to deal with blue collar regular people who were curious about it, but still, transitioning towards a healthier lifestyle. So we just used some out of the box. We didn't have anything to lose. We didn't really think that anything was going to happen with it. But man, it, it took on a life of its own. The next thing you know, we're doing events with Mary Sheffield. We're doing events with the Mayor Nolan over in Inkster. Um, we're all over the place. We would do hair shows, vendor event, anybody's vendor event. If we knew you had some people coming, we would go in there. We would offer free samples, and we slowly built our base that way. And I used my knowledge from cooking to get the best prices. I went to the Eastern Market. I found me a farmer who sold apples, and I asked him, could he give them to me wholesale if I went to his farm and picked them up? And so nobody knew that. None of my competitors could figure out why I could get my prices so low because I used the same street mentality. I went straight to the plug and cut
Right.
out the middleman.
Okay.
So in business, that was the whole always is to cut out those layers and vertically integrate. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but when I got into learning about how businesses run, that's what I was doing.
Wow. So here in Detroit, you had a successful business with girlfriend then, wife now. What was that conversation with her like? We're in it to win it.
Well, she had an entrepreneurial spirit too. And we just felt like, this as it began to take off. I mean, we went from doing, a few bucks a week. Then the next thing you know, it's $100 a week. Then we're doing shows. We're getting like $500-600 for a couple hours of work. We're selling out in 2 or 3 hours. So it was just the inflow of it and seeing how we could use technology and stuff. And she's like, we can do this, and and maybe have a life where we don't have to constantly slave and work all the time. So instead of working 6 7 hours, we can work hard for 3 days and have the other days where we can kind of do what we want. So as a rule, what we would do is that we would work our butts off, and every other month we would take 3 days and we would shut the store down and we would basically take a trip somewhere, which is how we ended up in Florida. Because, mind you, I didn't even mention we started the company. Some of the best companies are started during the worst times. We started this during COVID.
Okay.
So when COVID happened, what happened? All of the stores shut down. You really couldn't get anything from anywhere unless they brought it to the car. So what we introduced was no contact ordering and pickup, where you literally could order from the website, where you could order through DM, on social media, and your juice would be on your doorstep the next day. And we only charged $5 for delivery, so people could order. We were offering 30 packs of juices for $100, cold pressed juices. You can't. I don't know anybody even today that can do that. And then we were doing 6 packs.
Mm.
So we were trying to get them to buy those 30 packs because that's $100 quick,
Right. Right.
you know. So we were able to do things like that. They kind of changed the game. And from that, we started a trucking company, Lux Detroit. We had a box truck, we had a cargo van. We put two drivers in there, so we had that going. And then we had Fresh Life Detroit going, but something was missing.
What was missing?
Well, I love my city. I grew up and was born and raised there, but I just felt like the city was changing and for the community. And as I went out and traveled on these weekends trips, I was seeing a middle class, a black middle class in some of these other cities that didn't have to deal with some of the issues that we was dealing with in Detroit at the time.
Hmm.
And I just got to a point where I was looking at my kids, and they were growing up like me. They're bookworms, they don't really want no trouble or nothing like that. And I just felt like, I was getting tired of the winters. The winters were too long, they were too harsh, and I enjoyed the warm weather. And so we talked about it and we prayed on it, and we decided that we were going to move. And from the point that we made the decision that we were going to move to when we literally 60 days later, we were putting our stuff in the truck. We had found us a property. We paid the lease up for an entire year, and we handed the business over to my daughter, and we left because God said it was time to go. It was time to move on to something bigger. I got something bigger for you. Because I would
So
get these. God would talk to me just like when He talked to me in the beginning of my addiction, and He said, "Don't. It's time. Your time cooking is ended. You got to reinvent yourself." And at that point, I changed. And when I hear, I don't know about you, but I can hear God loud and clear sometimes. And when He tell me to do something, I don't question it.
absolutely. It might not make sense right then, but
No,
eventually it will show itself to why I had to listen. I was telling somebody, matter of fact, today, like, I don't have time for the guessing game. I don't have time for that because at the end of the day, somebody's waiting for me. How long
right,
will you, how long are you going to make people wait in their destiny for you to show up?
right.
I don't got time for that, and they don't either. So if he tells me something, if he shows me something, I have to immediately move. Again, it's literally life or death. It's that serious.
And that's how it has to be. Because when you talk to older people who are getting ready to make their transition, their biggest emotion is regret. It's regret for the things that they wanted to do, but they never took the chance to do because they were waiting on somebody else to come along. And that person never came along. Well, why didn't they come along? Because it's your dream, it's not their dream. And, sometimes people will say, "Yeah, I'm with your dream," because they don't want to lose you. Uh, but it takes a fearlessness and an almost ruthlessness to be able to say, "You know what? I can't pour from an empty cup." And then as we, move towards middle age, we're looking at, we might have more years behind us than ahead of us. Not me, because I'm gonna live, I'm trying to live a little bit longer because I missed out on some stuff. But still, you understand the importance of time and the value of time. Time is worth more than money because you can get money back, but you can't get that time back. So you have to take decisive action. When God tells you to move, you got to move. And if they ain't ready, sunshine, and
Unfortunately,
can get it.
they gonna be by themselves.
Anybody can get it. No one is exempt. I it's I just don't want to live a life of regrets anymore. And it's not even about treating people bad, but everybody's got their own journey, and sometimes people have a season.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so we know that you're definitely an overcomer of the things that we have already talked about.
Right.
One of the other things that we don't talk about is addiction doesn't happen, or overcoming addiction doesn't happen overnight. And the journey can be very long. And it's a constant battle. So
Correct.
can you give, advice of, those moments when, the enemy was still talking to you, like, yeah, come back. We miss you, those type of things. So what was that conversation like?
Listen, the enemy talks to me every day, almost every day still. The enemy manifests itself in some of those bad decisions that we make every day. When we could have did this, but we acted, off of a feeling instead of doing what we're supposed to do. People what a lot of people don't understand in addiction is that it took you 16, 10, 15, 20 years. You think you're going to erase that overnight or in 30 days? You're going to repair that in 30, 60, 90 days? You're not. It's going to take the rest of your life To recover, you recover when you die. That's when you're recovered. You never stop recovering because you never stop growing, evolving, and maturing if you're in recovery. There are some people who are abstinent from drugs, but that's not recovery. Recovery is when you're actually getting better. Because if I'm going to be miserable, well, hell, I might as well go on and keep getting high. So at some point, you got to work, you got to figure out, happiness is an inside job. And one of the biggest things that people in addiction don't want to accept is that they are the common denominator in all of the stuff that's going on in their life. And that goes for people who are not in addiction. If you got a lot of drama going on, what's the common factor in all of those drama situations that's going on? It's you. So when you understand that either your decision or your lack of a decision has caused you to be where you at, you earned your seat. And it's going to take a lot of patience. Everybody's not going to forgive you. And you just got to really work on you no matter what. The journey, and my Instagram handle is the journey continues, because I'm constantly learning about myself. There's things I've done a year ago that I cringe at, because why did I do that? So thinking you're going to be perfect, you're not. I still do dumb stuff. Did some dumb stuff today, but it's okay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
none of
One of
us
my
get through this.
friends, she
Go ahead.
she always says that, be kind to yourself, um, and forgive yourself. And sometimes
Yeah.
we do hold ourselves hostage, for some of the decisions that we've made. But again, we have these conversations. We find out that during these conversations that we're more alike than we are different. And then there's the whole thing of your story, your journey is going to help, is guaranteed, it's going to help somebody, even if they don't admit to it or not. Some of the conversation that we had tonight is a eye opener to some things that I had no clue, no idea. There's other things, even in addiction, that when we hear the word addiction, we always think drugs. Well, there's other things that you could be addicted to. There's lying, there's porn, there's all types of crazy stuff that people are addicted to. And we don't, want to uncover or be real with yourself, which causes another issue and problem of, hey, my addiction is not alcohol, it's not drugs, it's not this, it's not that, but I do have a problem. How do I get help for me? Like you said earlier, with addiction is mainly, it starts with you. It starts with you. Nobody, they can keep talking to their blue in the face. Doesn't mean I'm going to move. Doesn't mean I want to get better. And you, the other person, has to decide, what are you going to do in the meantime?
Yeah.
In the meantime, what I do love about your redemption story is that even though the journey of redemption started with you, you have help in your partner, in your wife.
Right.
And even in those moments, you can be transparent and honest with her to be able to say, hey, I'm going to love you through this moment, but I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
When that story becomes, you didn't have anybody in the beginning, when you made a decision to say, I want a better life.
Right.
I watch your pictures on Facebook, and I might not comment, but I'm rooting for you because I do know the story, because you put a comment on what's going on in the picture. You just took a road trip and you took your family with you. And I was like, that's what's up. You're going in places you've never been. You're taking and redeeming the time in this moment with my family, which is very important to me. Again, some people, they might not ever say anything to you. When I first started, I said, I'm rooting for you because at
Right.
the end of the day, we need to hear the redemption story. It might not be me, but I know somebody who is, who's dealing with this situation. Again, when I first started this, and I say this all the time, in 2020 during the pandemic, God told me that I was going to become the help that I once needed myself. Whether it is
Wow.
help, whether it's advice, whether it's connecting with other people who doing been to the places I need to go, however it comes, I have to open my mouth and speak. I have to, because the stuff that I've been through, the stuff that you've been through, it's not going to
Hmm.
help anybody if my mouth is shut. It's not going to help anyone. But if you're transparent and you're honest and you're in control of your emotions and the things that happen when you hear these stories, and I'm still in the moment of holding back tears because there's the part of, oh my God, I had no clue, no idea, and then there's, oh my God, he's doing it. Oh my God, I'm excited, and I'm happy. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. We can't go backwards, so it's
No.
always going to be forward. Because guess what?
Right.
We're always constantly learning the lessons from our mistakes. You're looking at your children. You're promised that, like, hey, talk to me. I've been there, done that. You don't want to go down this road. I'm a living epistle before you. Like, literally, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, you don't want this. So I'm super proud of you. I don't recall, and I know we went to Osborne, but I don't remember ever meeting you. I don't.
Uh, because I didn't graduate from there. I was there a short time,
What year were you
and
there?
I was there in '87. I was there in '87. I don't remember much about it. I was high the entire time. And I would literally go in one door. I went to a few classes. I couldn't name one teacher. I also went to Mumford. And believe it or not, Sunshine, I started at Cass Tech.
Wow.
I went in as a 4.0 student. And in my freshman year is when I first started smoking marijuana. And within a year or two, uh, I actually got my diploma in Job Corps in Indiana.
Okay.
Yep.
At
So
least you got one.
yeah, so it's like my life took a turn, and you know what? One of the other things that I've lost is my memory of a lot of my younger years. I did a lot of damage to my brain cells. That the memory loss does not always come back. I still struggle with memory. I have to do exercises, cognitive exercises to keep my memory strong. But you know, a lot of times I see people that I recognize, I can't really remember much about what we did, and that hurts. You
Right.
know, when you see people that know you and know your past, you know, remember a lot of, you know, that can probably fill you in on a lot of good times, and you're too embarrassed to say you don't. You know what? I don't remember. You know, these are some of the scars, but those are the scars that let me know that I can't ever go back. Man, they got fentanyl out here and everything now. It's taking people out. Like, I know I won't make it if I go back out. I know it. It's a fact. Like, I have way too much. Like, why would I give up the life that I have, for that? I live in a very, very nice house in the suburb of Orlando. I chose to go back to work so that I can grow Fresh Life Orlando. I have a very nice job as a specialist, and I have Fresh Life Orlando going on. So I'm blessed. I'm truly, truly blessed. But it's been a lot. It hasn't been easy, but I got that Detroit grit. And we're gonna go anywhere we go. If we apply ourselves, we're gonna rise to the top because we're just made different from Detroit. And I would love to see more people come to Orlando and really come into the city and get away from the resorts and come into the city because it's you only see one side. Most of the people in Detroit are either black, white, or Arab. And then you come here and I have Haitian friends, Dominican friends, Puerto Rican friends, white friends, black American friends, uh some people from Argentina, Venezuela. you know it's crazy. And a boy was in the homeless shelter to be doing some of the things I'm doing is wild to me. Sometimes, people don't even know. I'd still be like, you know what? There's got to be some kind of prank, God. You got to be pranking me, man, because there's no way that I'm supposed to be here right now, but I am.
So
And
we talked about,
it's wild,
we really didn't get into the juicing business, right?
right?
So I've seen pictures, and of course I'm following you on social media.
Yeah,
What are some of the, I guess, your most popular drink?
right. So we still sell juice in Detroit. I have, we have my daughter that's making it in here. So right now, my most popular juice is what I call an inflammation blend.
Okay.
That has pineapple, turmeric, ginger, and orange in it. And so a lot of people like that because of the anti-inflammatory. If you're dealing with things like lupus, I'm trying to think, my mind escapes some of sickle cell. If you're dealing with arthritis and things like that, turmeric is and ginger are really good anti-inflammatories. It's good for your gut. If you're dealing with acid indigestion and things like that, ginger it really does help you with all natural energy without the crash. And one of the things that we do, and what I would recommend is that, like with ginger and turmeric, is that we add a little black pepper to it, and that increases the absorption rate by 1,000%. Because a lot of times it's not absorbed properly. So
Hmm.
these are things I learned from my raw vegan teacher that taught me that. And in some of my posts, I definitely offer advice on how to juice. I'm not just trying to say, I want to teach my community how to juice because we can get a juicer for $50. And I think the problem is that a lot of us don't know how to make juice taste good. And when you're new to juicing, you don't want to drink nasty juice. I don't care what it does. I could tell you, unless I tell you can drop 10 pounds in 5 days, which you can if you do a juice fast. But the trick for me is to make juices that taste good but still do what they need to do.
Hmm.
So I've figured out a combination to do that. So I have the inflammation blend. I have a green clean that's kale, cucumber, spinach, parsley, and apple. Apple being a sweet ingredient in there. I usually use sweeter apples, galas, red delicious, and stuff like that. Uh, and that one tastes really good. It doesn't have that raw grassy type taste. You still taste the green, but it's blended really good. And then after that, we have the tropical sunrise, pineapple, mango, orange, and pear. And last, did I say the beet one?
Nope.
Heartbeat. Apple beet ginger. That's the one. Listen, my community, black people, get you some beet juice and blend it with some ginger and apple. It will change your life. If you're dealing with high blood pressure, men, if you're dealing with ED, your junk ain't working right, get you some beet juice. It is so great for building up your red blood cells and increasing blood flow within the cells. Get you some beet juice. It's a wonder drug.
I actually have some actually in my refrigerator right now. Like, um, my husband did a green with some of the green vegetables that you talked about
Uh-huh.
with the beets um, to get me together. So
Okay.
again, it's the being a consistent is very important, which I was not being consistent. So again, um, we have to really take care of ourselves. That I got so much to do. I don't have time to be sick. I just
I'm
don't.
trying to tell you, I don't either.
I'm
And
trying to get back on the cruises. I'm trying to be up in the planes at different concerts, being on stage. I don't have time
right,
to be sick.
right. And you notice the high performers, all we have to do is study the high performing people in the world, and most of them are fit. And I learned early that if I want to keep up with this schedule, it's going to require me to work harder than other people. Why? Because I don't have the pedigree, I don't have the connections, I don't come from the bloodline. I got to outwork people. I'm in arenas where my I don't have the same amount of talent as the people around me. I got to be able to outwork them, and that's why for me, I got to keep this machine going so that I can keep up with that type of schedule. You can't do it when you out of shape. But
No.
I think sometimes a lot of people go too far to the extreme when they make that transition, because you remember earlier you talked about how in recovery you can't recover or expect to recover overnight, right?
Right, right,
Well, think about that with your health. Not you, but us as a community, say me, I may been eating unhealthy or been miseducated on how to eat right. And we may be talking 30 years before I really start studying, or through maybe seeing things on social media, I decide I want to get my life together, start eating better and being a little more healthy. So what do? I go and tell myself I'm gonna go on a juice fast. I'm gonna go from eating Popeyes to jumping on a juice fast for 5 days. And I'm going to take my butt to the gym every day for an hour. And it's unrealistic. We're setting unrealistic expectations on
right.
ourselves and setting ourselves up to fail. So, what I coach and what I tell people to do is make a very small goal. If we have a large goal, like say that goal is an elephant, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. You can't take the elephant down in one bite. You can't take it down. When you're dealing with a large thing, you have to go one step at a time. So generally, I say with juicing, maybe set a goal to juice where you drink juice twice a week to start, or maybe just one glass a day. Before I run out the house, I'm gonna pop that beet juice and do me a shot. Make a game out of it, put some ginger in it, and pop me a shot before I run out the door. And then we just build off of those habits from there, because it takes 21 days for anything to become a habit, and you're going to have your ups and downs. And so as you become better, it's not going to be straight up and down. It's going to be, up and down. And let me go that way. There's going to be ups and downs along that road. So you got to take those setbacks and don't beat yourself up, because it's all part of the process. You
Yeah,
didn't fall out. It's just part of your process.
absolutely. Give yourself grace. Forgive yourself. Be kind to yourself.
Always. That's the
Um,
three.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, this was so good. I'm hoping that what we talked about tonight will shed some light on some things that, um, if Will can do it, we all can
Man,
do it.
listen. If I can do it from where I came from, that's why I look at some people and I be like, listen, you ain't got no addictions. You're doing okay. You just need to apply yourself. And what are you doing? But everybody's got their journey. If Will can do it, anybody can do it. And don't hesitate to follow your dreams. If God been telling you to leave or go try to live somewhere else, go do it. Try it. What's the worst? I told myself when I moved here, what's the worst that can happen? I come down here, it sucks. I don't like it. I realize I made a terrible mistake. I can always come back home. But what I always did really quick is I always told myself when I felt like that, I'm gonna go one more day. And if I feel like that, then I'll okay, it's over. But it never comes, right? So that's what you tell yourself. I'm gonna do it one more day.
Before I let you go, what is a balanced life for you?
Whoo, you hit me hard with that one, see. Sometimes I don't know. Balanced life for me is when, I'm doing things for self-care. So it's working hard, but not working so hard that you're miserable. So happiness for me is that balance where I know that I'm doing more things. And listen, that's a journey too, because that's understanding that I want to go hiking. My wife might not want to go hiking, but that's something I want to do. So balance is making sure that I'm getting out and we're doing family events, that I'm doing solo events, that I go somewhere, I sit and meditate and I learn to be still. But listen, when you're trying to change your life, balance is a myth. Motivation is a myth. It's about discipline and consistency and showing up. And the person that shows up and does 70 to 80% is going to go farther than that person who, for 1 or 2 days, can give 100%. But then once the motivation's gone and they don't have a why, their why is not there, they're going to fall off every time.
Yeah, we just talked about this Tuesday, about just showing up and seeing what God got for you. Um,
Yeah.
you have to, even when all chips are down, nobody's watching, nobody's saying anything. I still got to show
Right.
up. I still got to
Yeah.
show. Um, and God's not a liar. He didn't promise
No.
too many things to me, too many things to us that I want to go on to see what He got for me. He promised it to me. So even if it seemed like I'm alone, it's all right. It's okay. Because what they say, trouble don't last always. Um,
No.
and I have met so many wonderful people right here on this platform that I would have never met if I didn't listen to God.
And took
I
that
would have never
leap.
met you or
Facts.
had a reason to even talk to you. But however, listening to that call 300 and something episodes later, I meet
Yeah.
some of the dopest people that have some of
Right.
the dopest stories, survival stories from all types of things, not only cancer, not only diabetes, or I had someone
Right.
who had AIDS and don't have it no more. So again, I,
Anybody can heal.
anybody, um, I don't feel like God will put people in my life like you, at a such a time as this, to not believe that you can self heal during and doing what is necessary for your body to heal. If that's juicing, if it's exercising, I see you in the gym. All these different things. Again, I might not say anything to you, but best believe I'm watching.
You have communicated to me and you reached out, and we've been talking back trying to get linked up. But I gotta say, the same for you. I'm a big fan of yours. I see you living your life and you're having fun and you're doing your platform and you keep doing your platform because you got a positive and a beautiful energy. And one of the things that was awakened within me is my ability to really sense people's energy. And there are certain people that, I'm just not going to be around because their aura and their energy is off. And you have the exact opposite. You literally are the embodiment of your name, Sunshine, because you have a really good energy. I'm not just saying that to shoot the stuff to you. I believe that you are genuinely, you genuinely give off a ton of energy, a ton of good energy, and you feed into people. you don't really have a choice because you're anointed by God to do that. And as above, so below. So, God is within you. Y'all the creator of civilization, and we don't give, you what you're doing is fantastic. I plugged along. It took me 5 years before I hit my break, hit my stride. And that was getting up, getting in the riding the bus to work with jars of juice in the snow and riding. I bought a cruiser in Walmart to take my juice and to get to work. And I used to ride my bike. And can you imagine what it looks like, a 44-year-old guy riding his bike downtown to go work at Quicken Loans? But I wanted my license, and I was willing to do whatever it took. You keep going. You are going to stand on major stages. I see it. You're going to feed into thousands and millions of people.
Don't make me cry tonight. We're not doing that tonight.
Yeah. God already told you that. I'm not telling you something that you haven't heard before. You've already heard it. You already known it. And you can't let anybody or anything take you away from that mission. I don't care. Anybody can get it, sunshine. You have to fulfill that destiny. And those who are truly with you are gonna understand what you must do. And those that aren't with you, they may love you, but they may not be, to the point where they're gonna support you with that. And that's okay too.
Wow.
Everybody can't go. Everybody can't go, baby. Everybody can't go.
Nope.
Eagles fly alone.
Absolutely. Now I talk about that too. The only bird that can fly close to the sun, SUN and SON. And my mantra of this year was, I don't play with chickens.
No. We've been flying. I've been flying with pigeons.
So
none of them.
I'm excited, and people like you. Again, I love learning about new humans, like, and finding out in the conversation we're more alike than we are different. And if you can do it, I can too. Now I do have some announcements before I let you go. My church announcements as usual. So last year, I think it was 2022, I believe it was. It's been so long now. I wrote my first book. I'm working on number 2. The Blueprint God's Design. God set me down as like, you're going in the wrong direction. And when you get into those moments of being in the wrong direction, all you have to do is go back to the blueprint where it all began. Follow the instructions this time, and you'll be on your way. You taught me some things about blueprints. When you learn how to read them properly, you no longer are wasting money or time or material. So he gave me a few chapters. He told me the page number, not to go all in deep. Make it simple, like a blueprint. And wrote the book, put it out, and it's on Amazon now. You can put the name in or my name, and it will come up. And it blessed me. Book number 2 is going to be about my life, my real life. And so I'm excited to actually be able to tell my story with no prejudice, not worried about anybody else. It has to come out. And so I'm getting prepared for that. It's no fun reliving these things, but however,
it's healing.
Absolutely. People, if you want to continue to see this beautiful platform go forward, as I told you before, it has to go to TV. God had told me before Ellen DeGeneres stepped off the scene that he was replacing her with me. And And I said,
Wow.
me? And he said, why not you? So many things that we have in common. And the heart of the person. Hollywood, Atlanta, wherever you want to be, you all still need what God has placed inside of me. I know I have to go to the world. I have to. I have no choice. And again, God has gifted me to be able to be transparent and honest and allow people to be comfortable. That is a gift. So again, this tonight, and he was on earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but Main Event from AND1. That's my heart. He was on here earlier. This episode is sponsored by Blacktop Streetball Association, btsba.com. Again, we're taking the culture back.
That's right.
Everything started from the court. NBA, everything you can think of started from the court. This time, nobody can steal from us. We're coming back as owners. We learned the lesson now. Now it's time for us to give back to our communities. So Main Event and some of the other AND1 players will be coming out sometime next year in 2024 as owners under this Blacktop Streetball Association. Again, you can go to their website, btsba.com, and support my heart, my brother, Main Event, Wally Dixon. Also, while we're talking about him, I want you guys to keep him in your prayers. He just lost his father-in-law on Thanksgiving Day. So they are preparing for the funeral. I want to say it's tomorrow. And some other things that just keep them in prayer. Some of my other friends that Rose Sumter and Jackie Johnson and George and so many other people, I've been getting calls and text messages about this week alone of people having being hospitalized, having strokes and in a coma, all these different things. I need you guys to be prayerful at all times. I don't care if you know them or not. Just pray for the world, period. I don't know what's going on. This could be you. This is why we stay on the wall at all times, being prayerful. Again, I want you to support my brother, Fresh Life Orlando, Fresh Life Detroit. You can go to the website.
All social media.
All social media, please support them. Again, the redemption story is not like no other. But I said several times tonight, if Will can do it on spans of years of being in that moment to decide one day enough is enough and get his life on track and continue to keep his life on track, then you can. You have no excuse. If he can pick up and move from where he was born and raised to a whole nother state, a tourist place, then you can do it.
That's right.
To be the entrepreneur, the husband, the father, the coach. You write a book yet?
I need to sit down and do that. I know that's part of my my mandates is to be able to tell that story, because it's some stuff in there. It's some stuff that's gonna be in that book, boy. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, literally,
Yeah,
there is no limitation in what your life entailed. Again, that book itself can actually be in a shelter. That book can be in a place where someone actually needs that right now word Because sometimes it's hurtful and it's crazy. We sometimes sit behind a pulpit and we're not in touch with the people that's in the pews.
That's right.
You can't preach to me about something you ain't never did. You don't know nothing about. I'm sorry. So people like you is what the world needs. It wasn't an easy task. It was not easy. Did I ask God I wanted this? No. He didn't say you had a choice in this. But again,
No.
the things I've been through, things you've been through, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for you. It was for somebody down the road.
Wow.
I met a black pilot. He was on the show. And the things that he said to me was what I take every day. You gotta show up and be on time. Somebody's lives depend on it. Somebody's
Right.
waiting for that destination for you to pull up or pull out. I don't have time to wait on anybody.
No.
If you're not on there and that door closed and we
out.
on lift off, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
That was the decision you made. But on me as the pilot, I'm gonna always show up. And if you know me, you know I'm always early. Matter of fact, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let y'all go. Proven point why I'm always early. I'm literally always at work, almost 40 minutes or so early. Just out of
That's
habit.
me.
Out
Yeah.
of habit. Well, this morning I decided I'm gonna go and stop at a gas station close to my job. I go in there to get a mocha, frappe, whatever you want to call it. That's in the glass bottle, and a phone charger. And I come out, so I have a lanyard for my job ID, and I have a lanyard on my keys. So I thought I grabbed my keys, and I didn't. I grabbed my work ID. So I go out of the gas station to get in my car. My keys are locked in the car. The car is running. My phone is in the car. My purse is in the car. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I go back in the gas station. And they're like, well, we can call you a tow truck. And I'm like, I'm not about to spend money, unnecessary money on a tow truck. No, I'm literally right down the street from my job. Well, if you know me, you know I don't like shoes. So I had on my house shoes. And it was cold this morning. So I walked from the gas station, and I work on an army base. So of course the MP's like, ma'am, do you work here? And I'm like, yes. Showed him my ID. I told him what happened. He's like, come on in. It's cold out here. This is when I say you need favor and you need to be early, not just showing up when you're supposed to. So they called a sergeant. He's like, yes, I know where you work at. Yes, I've seen you. Yes. Never like really had conversations with them because they're guards at the gate. They call the sergeant. The sergeant comes and picks me up. By this time, it's 6:15, 6:20. I'm supposed to be clocked in at 6:30. Now, mind you, all this happened right before 6 o'clock. So he pulls me, he takes me to the BP gas station where my car is. And he's doing small talk to me the whole time. And I'm steady looking at the clock. Like, I can't believe this. And he kept saying, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Like, okay. He gets out. Now, mind you, I have a hybrid. I don't have the pop-up lock. So I'm all looking like, how is he going to do this? And I need to get to work by 6:30. Literally did it in 2 minutes. Jimmied my car and unlocked my door. And I hugged him. Thank you so much. Because this could have been a nightmare. So I followed him to work. Literally got to work and was able to punch in exactly 6:30. So I want you guys to understand it's very important. I'm early. I don't know, me getting close to being on time, I can't do it. But somebody's waiting on you. I need you to show up.
That's right.
As this song says, keeping it real, you have no choice. We need that. We have been fed lies long enough. In our community, we have been fed lies enough. We need somebody to stand up, tell the truth, and be honest. Is it gonna be easy? No. This is what Eagles is about. That ain't no weak bird. Eagles can carry like 2 or 3 times more than their weight. They can see deep in water. It's so many things that are powerful that an eagle can do over any bird. You've seen pictures when they actually carried a snake, flying a snake, not worried about it at all. When you decide that you want to show up, God's strength is all you need.
That's right.
So again, Will, thank you for tonight. Thank you so much for showing up. So I'm gonna let you have the last words for tonight. What you got to say?
Okay. Best thing I can tell folks is you are not promised tomorrow. I had a brief health scare. I went to see about my jaw, and they did an EKG about, this was the day before yesterday, real quick. Ended up, long story short, in the cardiac unit. Clean bill of health, everything was good. But you know what it taught me is that you just never really know. You can do everything right, and sometimes things can still go wrong. But you know what? I got up the next day that I got out of that hospital, and I showed up at the gym. You got to keep showing up. You got to understand that life ain't linear. It's ups and downs. And you got to take the good with the bad. Don't get too happy when things are going well, and don't get too sad when things are going bad. Your body is naturally inclined to look for balance, and that's where your mind and your spirit should be. Always look for the balance, but understand that if you're trying to grow, it's not going to be balanced, and you got to be okay being uncomfortable if you really want to get to the levels that you want to get to.
Absolutely.
That's what I got.
Again,
And I love talking to you, and backstory for those who's watching, I had to pull into a Starbucks parking lot because I was running out of time. But it meant so much to me to be here to talk to you, and God told me I had to show up and be here. So I was going to do, if I had to do it in a parking lot, that was okay.
well, I appreciate it. I'm glad again.
I appreciate you.
You
You're
were
an amazing woman.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you showing up and being honest. Again, this won't be the last, because I'm sure we're going to talk again on here. We have a lot of things to talk about as far as your book, because you will write one. And even your life story. I sure am. And I want you to hug and kiss your family for me. One day, hopefully, I get to Orlando to see you in person.
You coming?
I've never been.
We're going to do that.
So I'm looking forward to it again. I will be back here on Tuesday with Aaliyah Crowder, the young lady who drew a picture, and her picture was selected, and they made a life size of her picture in the Thanksgiving parade. So again, I am so excited to be able to talk to her on Tuesday. We'll be back here Tuesday at 7. I have no idea who's going to be here Thursday, but I'm not going to worry about it. So again, I love y'all. Continue to support. Please look out for Fresh Life Orlando, Fresh Life Detroit on all social media. Again, get in touch with him. Let's be a village and love on one another. Again, thank you.
I got a package coming for you.
Me?
Yes, I'm gonna mail it out. I got you. I'm gonna send some goodies to you, some swag.
Okay. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be. Your destiny proven over and over again since 2020. Again, I love y'all, and I will see y'all on Tuesday. Peace.
Peace.
Don't go nowhere.
Okay.